Hey guys, my name is Claudia and welcome to Catching Claudia. Today we are doing an interview with Mills. This is the first interview in my new interview series, so I hope that you enjoy it. The link to her channel is in the description, as well as the interview that I did with her on her channel. I hope that you all enjoy. All right, let's get into it.
Halfway to Mexico, halfway to Tokyo, on this open road. You've arrived, and I'm singing you the song on the west side.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Catching Claudia. Today we are doing an interview with Mills. She lived in the Dominican Republic, and I'm going to ask her about her expat experience there. So, welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hello.
Hey
guys, my name is Mills. I have a YouTube channel. It's just called Mills, I think, which worst name ever, but I will comment below, or you can put the link in the description.
I'll put the links in the description.
Perfect. I have an interview with Claudia on my channel about her experience in Spain. So yeah, I'm just here to talk a little bit about my expat experience in DR. I'm from New York and lived there for 2 years.
Awesome. Okay, so my first thing, what made you choose DR?
Yeah, so I went there on like 6 trips before I moved, and that was like my first time there as a mission trip with my church. Which, looking back, I'm like, I don't know what mission trips are a whole nother topic.
Well, I did one too, and I kind of feel like we're
okay. We'll have to maybe do another video about that because that's a huge topic. But we went to the same town every year, which is the town I ended up moving to, and I fell in love with it. I love the culture, the people. I worked at a preschool every time I went. And then I went on 2 or 3 vacations, which was the first time I really got to like see the country. Cause on mission trips, they barely let you like out of their city or anything. So it was really good to go on those trips. And then I was working in Manhattan and I was just like over it. Working and like being in such like a busy place, and I decided I wanted to move abroad before I like settled down in the States or whatever. So I had already had like DR in my mind. I feel like I wasn't even open to anywhere else because of my trip, and I just loved it so much. So I just found a school that was hiring in that town and decided to move there. Sorry, he's so loud.
That's okay. So yeah, I think you kind of answered it, but what was your experience teaching in a school? You didn't go with the program then?
So I didn't. And I've made a couple of videos about that because I think it's interesting. It's a big difference. I think going through a program and going through on your own. Since I knew what town I wanted to be in, I like wasn't really open to other options. Which looking back, I feel like it would have been cool to see like where they placed me, but I just emailed different schools in the area that I wanted to be in and then like interviewed at a couple of them. There were only like 3 anyway. And then I don't know what you're fine. Happening. No, you're fine. So then I just like, one was like a missionary school where they didn't pay you and you had to like fundraise all your money.
Oh, wow.
And then the other you got paid. So I was like, I'll do that one. So
right.
It made it easy. Yeah.
So, since you went by yourself, what was the process like looking for somewhere to live?
So luckily the school figured it out, where I was teaching. And I went down on an interview, which people usually don't like go visit, do an interview. But I'm like really not that brave. So I had to see like everything first. They showed me the house that I would be living in. So it was really good to like visualize. That ended up getting like infested with mice. Like, so halfway through the year, they moved us. But luckily, like rent was cheaper. And although the house wasn't like as nice, it was nice that it was cheap. And like the school, it was like their responsibility. I liked that. So yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we're gonna transition a little bit because
the thing
that I noticed about your channel is that you are a new mom.
Yes.
And your husband is from the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, that was not the plan.
Yeah, like, was that part of your plan, or how did that even come about?
Yeah, so I had, I don't know, where do I begin? Let's see. On one of the trips that I went on vacation, I talked to a Dominican, and maybe any of you are watching, I don't mean this in like a stereotypical way, but maybe you guys do know there is a stereotype about Dominican men, and it's true for a lot of them. He ended up like having a whole wife in New York who he told me was his aunt, and like all this stuff. I thought that I'm pretty like street smart and really good at reading people. I'm like, this guy should be like an actor, because his lying was like A plus. So after that, I was like, there's no way I'm talking to anyone there. And then I ended up somehow meeting Chris through, it's kind of a long story, but I met him through a friend online on a dating app, but it was through a friend. It's weird. It sounds sketchy. And I was, in my mind, I'm like, oh, like a friend, like we can be friends. Like guys are so much easier to talk to there than girls are, and here too. So I moved there. I was there early, like before the school year started, and he was like, we kept in touch, but it wasn't even like a lot. He was like, do you want to come to Santiago? It was like an hour from where I was. We could just hang out. Like it was so innocent. And then like I saw him and it was like game over. I don't even know why. And we basically started dating like the second week I moved there. It was,
oh my goodness.
But definitely not the plan. I was like, I'm never going to talk to a Dominican guy ever. And then now we're married.
So what's the difference in dating abroad versus in the States? Or dating in the DR, I guess.
Yeah, dating there, I think it's hard because like I said, like there's a stereotype, and it's definitely not true for everyone, but it does happen where they see like you're an American, and maybe they do like see an opportunity there where like maybe they can get a visa, or maybe you have money or something like that. And it definitely depends on like what kind of person you're talking to and where you are. And that's like more likely in a touristy area and stuff. And I wasn't in one, but yeah, I think that you have to do a little bit more like investigating to see like, are they legit or are they lying to me? And also I think Dominicans are way more like seemingly romantic. So they're really good like with the words. They're really smooth, like they're flirty. And I think it is genuine, but you can also like very quickly be like, oh my gosh, they love me and I love them, because it's so different from an American guy. It's just like 0 to 100. They're so romantic, but I think you just have to be like way more like aware of the situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I will say like, in my experience, it was like more fun, I think, because they're so open and it's like a more relaxed situation. It's not so like high stakes kind of as it is here.
I feel
like chill.
Yeah, in the US it's kind of like a end to or a means to an end kind of. Whereas I guess you're saying you're just dating.
Yeah, it's just like go with the flow. Let's go to the beach, let's hang out, and then like just see what happens. But yeah, they're super friendly, so that was a plus. So
culturally, I guess, would you say Dominicans are more open than people in the States, or where you're from in the States?
Yeah, definitely. I guess it depends, but me being from New York, people are like super reserved, and especially living in Manhattan, like people don't really like talk to each other on the street. It's kind of just like business. And there, I feel like I could go up to anyone and like even make a friend, which I feel like here I wouldn't like go to my neighbors. I live in an apartment. I wouldn't be like, I don't even know them,
Right.
There, everyone is so friendly. Like, I can't tell you how many times I ended up like at someone's house for dinner that I didn't even know that morning. So I think they are way more open and friendly and like welcoming and hospitable. But I know that some people will say that some of them are kind of just like friendly to your face and will talk about you behind your back.
Okay.
Which is like Americans are like that too. So
yeah.
where like it happens.
Especially, I mean, well, I don't know. I'm not from the north, but Southerners.
Oh yeah,
have that reputation.
bless her heart or something.
Yeah, bless your heart.
Yeah.
You know, nothing.
You know, yeah.
Right. If you're from here, you kind of know, but I'm not. Virginia is kind of on the border, but of the south and the north.
No,
but,
it counts for sure. Yeah, it's just like that. So overall, super open.
Wow, that's really cool. So, when it comes to language, how strong did you feel in the language when you moved? Since you did missions trips, were you fluent by the time you moved, or?
No, because it was like 2 weeks each summer, you know, so it was very like interesting. And then I didn't go at all through college. I started college with a minor in Spanish too, actually, and then I dropped it. And like you said on our interview, it's harder to learn in school because like, yeah, you're writing and stuff. I think that I was like proficient and I did well. But Dominican Spanish is like a whole different game. Like it's crazy. So I would say I moved there like knowing how to say things, but it took me like a good like 6 months to get to where I was like, oh, I'm basically fluent. And now like being back here, I feel like I've lost so much, but I definitely luckily moved. Like it's so bad, but like being able to communicate when I got there was really helpful.
That's good. Yeah, I felt at first, I feel the same way with not being able or feeling like I lost a lot. Because like you said, 6 months, I was there for 7. And I really at that 6-month point felt like I was getting to the point where I was actually saying things the way that they say things.
Right. Yeah.
Because here, well, at least where I grew up, we did not learn Spaniard Spanish. So
we didn't either, but my teacher was from Spain.
Okay.
So she kind of had that accent, which was okay. But then I moved to DR and they like never say S's ever. And I was like, wait, I never learned this.
Yeah. The Dominican accent, I've listened. I think now I've kind of gotten an ear for it for different places. And I was like, oh yeah, that's challenging.
It is. But I can't understand like Spain Spanish.
I could not understand it at all when I first got there. I was just like, see.
Right. No. Yeah.
So, oh my goodness, I'm blanking a little bit, but
you're fine.
Culture shock. So what were some things that you liked about or that you didn't like about living there?
I kind of similar to you, like the convenience. I think that we're kind of spoiled in America with like, or in the US on how convenient everything is, like Amazon. And if I wanted something, I could have it like 2 days later. And luckily there we had like a PO box. So I could order things online, but it would take like 3 weeks instead of 3 days. And things being, I think here are more efficient. Like I would say something broke or like your car was in the shop. It would be like, and something there they always say is like, mañana, like it's ready tomorrow. And then tomorrow you go and they say tomorrow. So you're like, well, when actually? And they're not trying to be like, you know, annoying or anything, but everything's so like laid back that when you need to get something done, it takes like triple the amount of time. I think that was hard for me to adapt to, just like getting bills paid and, you know, doing things I needed to do. I think it's harder. I think it's hard to make friends here too. Sometimes like when you're done with school, but there, I think it was harder for me to make like girlfriends, and guy friends were so much easier. But then it was like, do they have the wrong impression, whatever. And it was hard for me to like approach girls. But
what made it difficult for you to approach girls? What was different in that way?
They're just like intimidating. And I don't know why. I mean, like Dominicans are beautiful. And like, I don't know if it's because everyone stared at me that I was like, they're already like noticed me. They already are like judging me. And like when you're there, I feel like people do things in groups a lot. So it wouldn't just me like approaching like one girl. It would be like a group of girls. And maybe it's just me because I'm like anxious and shy. But I don't know. I think that they're more like, and I guess I wouldn't do it in the States either. I wouldn't like go up to a group of girls in the mall. Like that's my nightmare. Yeah. But like I don't know. I feel like I think that they have like their walls up a little bit, but I will say like once you are introduced to them, they're so nice. So it's just like if someone else introduced me, like Chris's friends that are girls, once he like made that introduction, it was like so easy, you know? But it's just like approaching them, they don't seem like super approachable until you're in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I would definitely be intimidated as well, especially with the language barrier. I think that also just makes it even more nerve-wracking. So what would you say to someone who wants to live in the Dominican Republic?
I would definitely say to do your research. A lot of people message me and ask for help to move there, which I love to help people do that. But sometimes like they'll ask me like, oh, do they speak Spanish? And I'm like, girl, you need to back up a couple steps. Like, yes, they do. But like, what city do you want to live in? And they don't know any city. So I would say like, for me, I love like being spontaneous. In my mind, I am, but I'm really not in real life. But I do think like moving to another country, you do need to do some research, like where you want to be and what are you going to do, you know, for medical and like things like that. I would also say like to have a lot of patience because like I said, things are not going to be as they are in America, I keep saying America, but United States. Yeah. But I think it's like a good thing. So I think if anyone's tempted to move abroad, DR or wherever, they 100% should, because you'll grow so much. You'll be so independent when you leave. If you're trying to learn a language, you will. And then DR specifically, like, I think it's one of the most beautiful places. Like, you'll make friends quickly. You'll see beaches and mountains and rivers, and like, you'll have a great time. It's just like keeping your like wherewithal, I feel like. Yeah.
I forgot to ask. So you said, Santiago, where is it located in? It's in the middle, right?
Yeah, so when I first moved, I lived in Jarabacoa, which is a mountain town, like an hour north or an hour kind of like to the side of Santiago. But then I lived the second year. Once I finished teaching, I was going to go home, but because I met my husband, I was like, I'll stay. And I ended up loving it anyway. So I moved to his town. And that's the second biggest city. So yeah, that was like center of the country, Santiago de los Caballeros. Yeah. And it's beautiful. It's so nice.
So would you recommend someone going to a big city or just back to doing their research to find their fit?
Yeah, I think it's like what they prefer, but I do have some videos on it, like what are my top cities. And I think like someone who wants to get like the DR experience with the beach, I always suggest like Cabarete, Samaná, like on the north coast. I never really suggest like Punta Cana, which is the like retirement tourist. Yeah, so touristy. Like I never really suggest it unless you're like really looking for that lifestyle. But usually I suggest people to be on like the north coast, and that's where I would go. Like if I'm going to move back, it would be there. I just think that's like the most beautiful spot that you can go to.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to interview. Definitely check out her channel. The link will be in the description, and I will see you all next time. Awesome. And thank you so much again.
Thank you.
I hope that you enjoyed the interview, and this is a series that I'll be doing for a little while. So if you want to interview with me, my email is catchingclaudia@gmail.com, and I'll definitely reach out to you and we can talk about your travel experiences as well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Halfway to Mexico.